Initially, I wanted to say that this is for my younger audience, younger in age or young minded. But no, I think we all kind of like need to hear this, or we're reflecting on it already. Um, but tomorrow is March 1st, which, depending on where you are in the U.S. corporation or this nation, it marks a year in being in this pandemic. There has not been a single soul unaffected. Some people still are seemingly afloat. Some are down and out. Some of us have lost somebody, whether due to the dis-ease or from some other natural complication or by the hand of another man. I don't know. Everybody's story is different, but everybody has a story that they can definitely tell within the past 365 days of being in this. Mm-hmm. We've been in this shit for almost 365 days, a year. There have been babies who were literally born a year ago from today. Children who all they know this world to be is what it currently is. You have elders who are walking within their last days on this earth, and they're looking at this life like, I'm glad as fuck I'm leaving. But I'm also sad for those who are still remaining. So, change is inevitable. If you are not able to look back at yourself a year from now and see how you have changed. Now, I'm not saying change in a good way, because there has been a lot of traumatic things happen. You may have experienced some real ass life changing shit that changed you. Everybody has been formed or deformed within this. So, what's troubling for me is to still see and know that there is a large majority of people who do not recognize that we are indeed in a war. We are. We've been in war. Ever since mankind has become mankind, we've been at war. But the war is more so intrinsic at times, inwardly. It has a particular essence to it that's not always within the realm of physical combat or martial combat. You have biological war. You have psychological warfare. You have warfare within the media and censorship. And then, of course, you have spiritual warfare. Warfare or war is like our atmosphere. It has different layers of it. Some of us are only like cognizant and aware of like that frontal layer. Oh, we're not in the trenches. We're not, unless you are living somewhere where, God bless you, crime and violence is obsolete. The war is not seemingly among you. But just as there is peace here and there in this life, you have war. War is necessary for peace. But I'm not going to dive into that too much. You may disagree, but it's necessary. But what I wanted to harp on today is more so aligned with, so side note, all forms of warfare are simultaneously happen at all given times as well. It's not like this one form of warfare is happening in this lifetime over here in this country. No, they are all happening simultaneously. It's just our attention is diverted to a specific form, whether we know it or not. But what I wanted to speak more so on is mental health and formity and deformity in that. So I guess that falls under psychological and spiritual warfare, I suppose. So there's this really cool book. Some of you may be hip to it. Some of you may not be. The book is called 33 Laws of War. And yes, there are 33 chapters. But there are also more than 33 laws of war. So it's not just a set number. But I wanted to pull from chapter 13, which is know your enemy. So I get it. Know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. That's all well and great. You should know yourself, but you should also know your enemy. You should really know your enemy, because you may in fact be your enemy. So know your enemy just as much as you know yourself or are getting to know yourself. Don't be stupid out here. Please don't be stupid out here. Your enemy, whoever that, and think outside of terms of like, someone you may have beef with. Even in that example, you don't want your enemy to have more intel, more information. You don't want your enemy to know more about you than you know about your damn self. Know your enemy. So, chapter 13, know your enemy, the intelligent strategy. The target of your strategies should be less the army you face than the mind of the man or woman who runs it. If you understand how that mind works, you have the key to deceiving and controlling it. Train yourself to read people, picking up the signals they unconsciously send about their innermost thoughts and intentions. A friendly front will let you watch them closely and mine them for information. Beware of projecting your own emotions and mental habits onto them. Try to think as they think. By finding your opponent's psychological weaknesses, you can work to unhinge their minds. So, none of this that has happened is accidental. People argue and firmly believe, and I'm not saying I disagree and I'm not saying I agree, that this is something that was allowed by God, or as man in our defilement of she, earth, nature, what have you, we fucked up. Or there's some people, pulling the strings, the puppeteer, the person behind the throne. So in warfare, the king never, maybe on rare occasions, the king does not actually step out on the battlefield. He doesn't. He sends his best generals and soldiers to do that. In fact, it's not really the king who initially always, maybe sometimes, because you do have some warlords who became kings, but generally it is not always the kings who come up with the stratagem for their battle, their war, their attacks. It's usually somebody who has a little bit more keen sight in that affair. And someone who usually has a lot of intel on how the enemy moves. Right? So, I'm asking some of you to kind of like get off this isolated throne of yours and address what has been going on with you. Because you've been wrestling with it. You've been fighting with it. You've been fighting with it. But it's been more so out here. You're watching from the throne. You need to get up off that throne and, head to the front lines. In whatever way suits you. So, we've been in this pandemic for about, like I said, a year, right? A lot of us have formed or have deformed behaviors and habits. Dr. I believe his name is Maxwell Maltz, 1960, wrote a book on how habits are formed. And he stated that it takes 21 days for a habit to be formed. That's in 1960. 2009, a study was done and published in the European Social Psychology Journal that said it can take anywhere between 18 days to 254 days for a new habit or behavior to form. And about 66 days on average for that particular habit or behavior to become automatic. So it's just like, it's innate, it's second nature, you just do it. So Mom, I'm talking about habits and behaviors. How does this pertain to war? How does this pertain to mental health? How the fuck does this pertain to me? Because you didn't form some habits. I know I did. Both good and bad habits. Probably more on the bad side, unfortunately. But here I am, speaking on it, sharing it with you. A lot of us as I said, are affected by this. Bless you if you still have a job, you eating well, you out here, and you enjoying it the best as you can. Don't lie to yourself. Something in your behavior has changed. That's all a part of the enemy's plan, right? Something in you changed. You may all of a sudden not feel comfortable around people the way you used to. And you may have been a highly extroverted person. Or on the other end of the spectrum, you may be introverted. Oh shit, I can do this shit. I'm already a homebody. This shit is nothing. Okay? Stay in your head too long while being alone or whatever your situation is. Introverts. Sometimes you can be too introvert and you kind of need to extrovert somehow. Not necessarily be among people frivolously, but just get out of yourself. So, anyway, needless to say, each and every one of us has a new habit. Some of you may have picked up a new hobby. Cool. That's not necessarily a habit. Some of the habits are healthy. Some of these habits are toxic. But acknowledge the habit or the behavior that you now have. You have changed within this year, for better or worse. Anybody that has been through a fight, battle, warfare, they come out with trauma, PTSD. Right? So the same thing happens in these more intangible, ethereal, subtle forms of warfare. You have PTSD. I got PTSD. It's okay. It's all right. Everybody is stressed. Everybody is fucking stressed. The level of stress is a change in behavior. Now, depending on how you deal with your stress and respond to your stress will dictate what habit you form or deform. But don't continue to sit there in your throne, i.e. your lazy boy, your couch, your bed, on the floor. Oh, so-and-so is going to take care of that. Oh, I'm going to trust the government. They're going to take care of that. Oh, they're going to be the ones to speak up and fight. I support them, though. Okay. I understand. But who's going to take care of you? Who's going to be the one fighting within that battle you have going on within yourself? Kings and queens. Know thyself. Know your enemy and be a fucking general. Okay? Still honor yourself as sovereignty, definitely. But give space to what you have been through, your battle scars, whether they're seen or unseen. And fight to heal them. I think I said enough. I think I said enough for today. Hopefully, you know, it raised the morale for somebody. Hopefully, gather the troops. I don't know. What have you. How much longer? How much longer?